I'm going to share with you tonight a little bit about our Whole30 program and the question that's probably on your one second. There we go. Question that's probably on your mind as far as where do we go from here? What happens next? All right. I'm on day 28, where a lot of our ladies are right now. What in the world do I do after? And that is probably the biggest question you have to answer for yourself, and I'm gonna guide you through that. So if you're just starting out, this is something that's going to come, at some point in your journey, be it 30 days from now or later than that. Hopefully later, not earlier. So what did you learn? This is the first thing you want to ask yourself. If you're just starting out, I'll go over some common scenarios. But if you are into the journey already, what differences did you see? How did your clothes fit better? How did your skin react? About your allergies, any arthritic conditions, any joint issues. Did you see a difference? Right? Because I found, I'm not claiming anything here, but have been, a ton of various health benefits as far as reduced, cramps from menstruation and, less intensive periods. That's a huge benefit to, I know, at least a few of our ladies at our gym. Clear skin, just overall feeling better, and that's huge. But more importantly, going into our next question, you have to ask yourself, what differences did you learn? What were your triggers as far as when you wanted to eat something you knew you shouldn't eat, when you knew you weren't hungry, right? Because this is really, once the hormones get in line, the rest is all about psychology, because you can hormonally optimize your body and based on your food intake, but the relationship, habits, and attitudes are still there. That's the root cause, right? In combination with screwing with our hormones. So you have to ask yourself, what did you learn in the process about you and food, and how compliant were you, honestly? Because the first two questions really don't apply if you were cheating here and there, bending the rules, or, I forget the term for this, but basically when you fill the void of a food with a food that is technically compliant, but it's not really, it kind of defeats the purpose, like making paleo pizza or something like that. Because the idea of this is to eat relatively, natural foods as naturally and organically as possible. Obviously, the further extent you want to take like your food would be, a lot of like chicken dishes with, the preparation, things like that. But obviously we don't want to be, technically we're not supposed to be, because of the relationship aspect, we're not supposed to be pancaking foods, right? Making them look like or feel like the same foods, because that does defeat some of the purpose. I would say if you stuck with it, and you did that here and there, it's not the end of the world. It's just technically the rules, which is why I'm bringing it up. So the Whole30 was great, but I can't live without. This is something I hear all the time, and it's, middle of their journey, towards the end of their journey, towards the start of their journey, before they even want to give it a shot. And realistically, you could do anything for 30 days. And beyond that, if you really wanted to, bad enough. So the first thing, let's just, go over a few examples. So, I did the Whole30, but remember, whenever we say but, it negates everything we just said before that. Whenever I did the Whole30, but I can't give up pizza. Let's look at the thought process behind that. Why can't we give up pizza? Because it's my favorite food. And why is it my favorite food? Because it reminds me of, or it makes me feel full and happy for whatever reason. And is it true? Right? That's when you ask yourself the next question. You peel away the layers that the way you look at a certain type of food, or some type of unhealthy relationship with food or beverages. And then you ask yourself, A, is it true, right? Does it really serve that purpose for me? And then why do I feel that way? Why do I feel like pizza makes me happy? Because when I eat it with my family, it reminds me of, when I was younger and we used to have Pizza Fridays, and I miss that. So you see what I'm saying? Like that's the real reasons behind the reasons behind the reasons. And the real emotional attachments. So looking at those logically, which is not easy to do, but going through the thought process is really the only way to get to the bottom line. So what are healthy alternatives, right? So obviously, we could have gone the spaghetti squash route versus the pasta, the cauliflower rice, versus actual rice. Were we doing that to fill the void, or were we doing that to have another option? Would we have been better off going with flavoring vegetables versus making them look like and texture wise and everything exactly like the foods that we know we shouldn't have. And then go back to the thought process. Why are we doing this? Is it true? Why do we feel this way towards this? And alcohol, here's a big one. Do you need it? No, you obviously you don't. But if you feel as though you do, because a lot of us try to justify this in some context. If so, why? Why do we need it? Right? That's actually a great one. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm running an AA meeting or anything here. But a lot of times we use alcohol as a crutch. I've done it. I'll admit that openly. It makes you feel more relaxed and comfortable. But ironically, I find that sometimes it makes me feel more anxious and, think more of the situation I'm in. So, I've actually had a pretty maturing experience personally with alcohol intake, since my college days for sure. But just, think of that relationship, because a lot of times, the women that have done this program with me, they have the relationship with wine, because I'm not trying to assume all of our women at our gym like wine, but I find it to be a very common situation. So why do we need it? And if so, is it true? Why do we feel as though we need the wine? So think of that. And here's a question that I really want you to ask yourself, and fill in the blank in your own mind. So I did the Whole30 because, right? That's when you think of your reason why. And going back to our thought process, why? Ask the why behind the why behind the why. Think deeper. What's the reason behind that? I did the Whole30 because I wanted to lose weight. Why did I want to lose weight? Okay, I want to lose weight because I don't feel comfortable in my clothes. It hurts to, move throughout the day because I'm carrying all this extra weight. And then remember, ask yourself, what's the next level beyond that, right? For example, find the real reason. Like mine, for example, is, I did this bodybuilding. I started this bodybuilding journey because I wasn't happy with how I looked in the mirror. I didn't feel good about myself. And I'm not saying this is what your answer should be, but this is just me being honest about my experience. Because the principles are the same. And, I wasn't happy. I knew I was better than what I saw. And it I'm only 26 years old, but I said to myself, holy crap, like these are some of the best years of my life. Why am I not living up to that potential? I mean, so I put that really put things into perspective for me, and those were like the reasons why, because I wanted to feel good about myself, and not feel like I was always on the brink of being on that uncomfortable weight, because that comfortably uncomfortable, place is not a good place to be, where things fit okay, but they're not very comfortable, and you don't feel really good about it at the end of the day. Also, I became fairly unhealthy. I wasn't sleeping more than 4 or 5 hours a night. I was stressed out all the time, and it came full circle for me. But this, ties back to this nutrition journey, because I'm on a very strict regimen, far more strict than the Whole30 would need to be. But it's the same principles when it comes down to, which is what we're going to talk about next. So long-term weight loss, Whole30, bodybuilding, healthier lifestyle, you name it. I don't care what it is you're doing. It's all the same, right? Whatever, as long as it's not a crash diet, okay? If it's a lifestyle change, or, Whole30, which is a short-term, segue into lifestyle change, or bodybuilding, 12-week contest prep, here's the principles that don't change. You must commit. If you're going to do it, you need to do it all in. You can't bullshit yourself. You can't bullshit anyone else. You need to go all in, both feet in the water. You must have, going back to the past few slides, you must have reasons with emotional reasons behind your emotional reasons. Logic will not keep you motivated. oh, I need to eat healthy because the doctor told me, or because it's good for us. That's not going to motivate you. You need to be honest with yourself and think about why you want to, be better, why you want to improve your health, your wellness, your physique. There are reasons behind that, and that's where the emotion comes into. Because we're all logical, human beings, but emotions and hormones are really, what drives us, and that's what this Whole30 is all. Ask yourself, why do you want to continue to eat healthy? And these are the three major categories that I always hear from my mentors. Most people, commit to a fitness program or a healthier lifestyle in general because they want to feel better, look better, or move better. Which one is it for you? It might be all three. It was for me, you know. So use this thought process and these, you know, ways of looking at it and breaking it down and chunking it down is to, to build your framework for, why your mindset towards it, your attitudes, your habits, right? So here's what we found from, our Whole30, for example. We did the first one back in March. It was a huge success, changed a lot of ladies' lives. And, a lot of these are still active members, which is fantastic. And, here's the scenarios I found. So scenario number one, someone does it and they're all in. Like Kelly Nyman, for example, if we're all members at Action Fitness here. So Kelly Nyman, if you were in the gym this evening, you saw her. She's got a glow about her. She's been like 99% compliant since March. She's lost a ton of weight, closer, better than ever. She's like a new person. We love the old Kelly, but we really love the new Kelly too. She is more in love with health and wellness than she ever has been, and all those benefits. She probably moves better. She feels better, and we know she looks better. She looks fantastic, and it changed her life. And now she's trying to share that with others, and she's sharing that with her family, and it's really cool. So that's one route I've seen. That's a smaller percentage of what I find happens. Scenario two, this is where most people fall in. Most of the time, they just cut out the crap, right? So they eat, obviously you go out to restaurants. It can be very challenging. You'll bend the rules a little bit here and there. But, at home, you're not eating the crap. You're not having the ice cream, the candy, the chocolate, the cookies, the chips, all the stuff that we know is absolute garbage for us. That's gone. That's out the window. That is scenario number two, and this could be where you end up. If you ride through the process, you give it all you got, but you don't want to be a diehard, no gluten, no sugar, no dairy, right? And then the scenario number three, this is the coolest part about why I like to do this Whole30 thing, because I've done the meal planning, I've done the calorie counting, I don't want to say I've done it all, but I've tried to help people walk through a lot of different approaches to health and nutrition. And what we find is that the worst case scenario, you're going to just be more conscious of the foods you're eating, which in my book, you're not bodybuilders. I get it. So you're not counting, every little scientific, macro micronutrient to the T. If you're just better than you were when you first started with this, and you're healthier because of the result, that makes me proud. And I love seeing that, because there's some people that just don't get on board with the nutrition, and I have to be somewhat realistic about that, as frustrating as it is. But the ones that fall into that category of very uncompliant with their diet, but they do the Whole30, whether it be 80%, 90%, some high percentage of compliance with the Whole30, I find that after they're done, they eat better. They might not eat perfect. They may not fall in scenario one or scenario two, but scenario three is not a terrible place to be, because then you catch them the second time around or the third time around. Hopefully they find their emotional reasons why they should make a healthier lifestyle change. So here's some questions that you need to ask yourself. What do you want from this? Why are you doing this? Do you want to be healthier? Do you want to feel better? Do you want to have an overall better day-to-day outlook on life? Do you want to fit better in your clothes? Remember, where do we go from here in our heads? We need to ask ourselves why. Why do we want this? Why do we feel this way? What's it going to change for us? How's that going to, these are questions I ask when I'm doing like consultations, because I'm trying to get real with people and find out, why they're at a workout class. So if someone comes to me and said, "Oh, I need classes," I ask them why. What about that's important to you? Oh, well, I just need to get into routine. Sure. So why do you need to get? What about being in routine is important to you? Oh, well, when I was in routine the last time, I was my best weight. Okay, great. So one of the benefits you're looking for is weight loss, right? Yeah, I'd like to lose about X amount of pounds. I ask them why. They say, because it made them feel this way. Or, eventually it gets down to the real reasons of why someone does something. Because every action we take, there's emotion behind it on some deep, deep, deep level. So this is what's going to help you stick with it, stay motivated, stay focused. Just like I'm going through a super strict, plan, like I talked about earlier. I've got my own emotional reasons, which I share with you already. You need to find yours, and that's really one of the keys to success, because the ones that talk about it at that high passionate level, like Celeste or Kelly, they have they they have come to a realization of their food relationships where they struggle, whether it be the emotional triggers that cause them to pull out the foods that they know they shouldn't eat in excess or eat in general. That's what this all comes down to. So let's go ahead and take some questions. And I know we've only got 3 others besides me on this call. But I need someone, maybe Mary. Mary's starting day 1 today. Mary, why don't you go ahead and type in a question in that box to your left, and I will put you on unmute, but I'm pretty sure we'll get really bad feedback, and it'll be a miserable experience for all of us. So go ahead and type in your question to the bottom left. And Tanya, I'm not letting you off the line. You're gonna have to type in a question as well thereafter. So. What's on your mind, Mary? Like I said, I know you started day 1 with us, and you're all in on the whole 30. So go ahead and shoot your first question into that box in the bottom left if you can. If I don't see a question in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to assume that maybe you're just calling in from an app and you can't type, which is cool. And I will see if we can unmute you and not get feedback, because I wanna help you. We'll give it 10 more seconds. If that's not going to work, no drama. All right, I'm going to go ahead and unmute us. So let me see. There we go.
All attendees are muted and may unmute themselves by pressing *6.
All right, so if you called in, go ahead and press *6. And you should be able to unmute yourself. Hop on the line with me. There's Tanya. Oh, wait, we had her, and then we got some feedback, I think, for a second. Hello, Tanya.
I have to push the top.
I guess so. That actually might work out well, because when I stop talking, I want you to unmute. You spit out your thoughts, just share them, and then I guess remute, and I'll answer, so we don't get the really bad feedback going. So go ahead and share your thoughts. What's on your mind?
What my concern is, what am I going to do after my 30 days? Because, I feel really great, but I'm scared.
Okay. Well, first question I have for you is, why are you scared?
Because I guess I'm scared that the sugar is starting to look good. Not sugar, but sweets.
What about, like, give me an example, and then tell me what goes through your head. What causes you to feel that way?
Well, lately, I work in a hospital, so we're always having parties, and so lately they've been bringing in cakes and everything like that, and it's making me very tempted, and that's I don't like that, but and it's bothering me.
Well, my first piece of advice would be to take the Whole30 a little bit longer, just to really solidify the habits. But also to make sure I know you were pre-diabetic coming into our program last year. Congratulations, by the way, on staying healthy with that and not and reversing that. But just for the hormonal purposes, I'd give it a longer trial and see if that helps. Because part of it's part of it's deeply rooted in us, as far as we see something like a certain food that we remember, and it creates that memory effect and that relationship with the food, so which in turn triggers hormones, right, in anticipation for us to eat the food that we're staring at. But give it a little bit longer and to really solidify the habit. And also lead by example, like when these things are coming up, what Celeste does and Kelly does, who are probably two of the best ones at following through long term that I've seen, is that they show up to the party with something healthy. And what it's actually done, I wish they were on the call with us, but what it's actually done is people at these social gatherings they go to on a fairly regular basis are disappointed if they don't show up with something really healthy. So, it's almost like that proactive approach to it, because then you have that food to fall back on too. And if someone, looks at you like you're crazy because you don't eat their cookies, you could say, look, I'm doing this for my health. And if they judge you and hold that against you, then I mean, that's shame on them, But does that kind of help give you some thought, just some general thoughts?
Yes, that helps a whole lot.
Reach out to Kelly and Celeste. The Bargers are really great too. The mom and daughter, they're probably 80-90% on point after, because they felt so much better. So I would encourage you to reach out to them, because they can give you that more authentic perspective. But that's pretty much what their approach has been, from what I understand, going forward. And they've been, almost perfect with it for March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 5-6 months now, and it's changed their lives. So what else is on your mind?
Enough. I'm feeling good because I'm cooking now, so I think that's a big plus. I love it.
You didn't cook before, did you?
I hated to cook, but it's been wonderful.
Cool. How do you see yourself going forward? Do you see yourself always cooking in abundance, or do you see it just like once a week, a main dish, and then supplement it with easy stuff?
No, Valerie has been my shero the whole time, and what I like to do now is that I'm going to start cooking on Sunday, and believe me, it's been so wonderful getting out. My breakfast all ready, my lunch is ready, come home, and my dinner is ready. So it's good. It's been good.
And it probably relieves a heck of a lot of stress going into the week, having at least those staple meals ready, right?
Right.
Oh, definitely.
That's awesome. See, like that's the thing. Even if you let's say you were just more conscious going forward, and you started adding back some of the less healthy foods, at least even if you just maintain that habit of, prepping like one big dish so you could roll through the week and have save some time, alleviate some stress, and eat overall healthier, that's great. So not saying you should fall back to that idea, but you got to be proud of yourself that you've done that, because I started cooking too, and I've kept the habit up to a level I'm comfortable with, that I can be successful with, and I think you will too. So great, awesome work, by the way. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mary posted in our chat box on the left. She said, "Hey Tanya, I've been on my own weight loss journey this past year and was successful at losing some weight When time got tough and I had to dig deep, I found that keeping inspiration quotes were great. I would keep little post-its by the fridge or at my desk at work. It's exactly what I needed today to fight temptation. I really like this one. Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. I love it. That is fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Mary. That's awesome. Mary, can you hop on the call with us, or are you unable to unmute yourself? And if you can't, no drama. So let me know in that little chat box if you could. I don't know if we can get you on here. All right, who is our other? Let's see. You're trying. When I go to click on you, it says you're unpaired. This attendee hasn't entered their audio pin. You should be able to dial the number in the center of the screen, I think. Or hit audio options. I'm not sure if you're dialing in from a computer. I'd love to hear from you. As you try to figure that out, let's see. Who is our last attendee? Call it 703-304-5801. There's no name attached to you, so you are a welcomed stranger. So if you would love to get on the call, I would love to hear from you and walk you through some questions. Oh, that's you. There is I believe it should be like star something. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. Let's do this.
All attendees are unmuted. All attendees are muted and may unmute themselves by pressing star 6.
There you go. Go and press star 6, Mary, and you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hey there. How you doing?
Good.
All right. Go ahead. Let's hear it. What you got? What's on your mind?
Oh, I'm just excited. I'm just excited to kind of dive back in, and this time to be in a environment with other people, that are also doing it. So that'll be nice to have that support.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you. You're going to rock it.
I'm excited. Thanks.
Sure. Has everything that we put together as far as like the resources and the processes that other ladies have used and the recipes, has that been really helpful and you feel like you have everything you need?
Yeah, the recipe book that I saw was really great, and I really liked that there were pictures of most every recipe, because I just kind of want to see what it should look like when I'm attempting to cook it.
Sure.
But that was really helpful. So pick some time to get yourself set up for the week, and you just make sure you're prepared for whatever you have that day. Then that's going to be helpful for you to stay on it.
That's the difference between success and being unsuccessful with this program, 100%.
Yeah, totally.
You're going to rock it, though. I know you're super organized. You're a lot more organized than I am, so that's for sure. Hey, reach out to the group, though. If you have any questions, obviously we're here to help you, and we'll give you as much feedback and coaching as we can. But a lot of these ladies, they have a very unique perspective that I will never have as a 26-year-old male, right? As far as, a different lifestyle or just being, cooking for a family. Like those are the things I can give you the hip. Here's what works for me, comments and posts, and they will. So embrace that.
Cool. Perfect.
All right. Cool. So we're gonna wrap up here. Tanya, I know you're our only one on the call out of two. I appreciate you both joining me. But Tanya, I was gonna say we'll do something to end the challenge. Make sure to get measured next time you're in as well. Circumference and weight. I know I was trying to do tie $100 incentive to the largest difference as far as everyone that participated, but half the ladies from the kickoff meeting ran out the door, so I didn't even get measurement. Someone's gonna get the money. I just want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to. So, anyways, thank you both, and I appreciate you joining me. There's gonna be a quick survey after this. It should redirect you to. So if you could fill that survey out. It's only 3 questions. That would mean a lot to me, so I could find more ways to serve you and anyone that commits to the Whole30 going forward. So thank you both very much. Have an incredible evening.